Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Brittany and I am currently 33 weeks pregnant today. So today I'm going to be giving a pregnancy update. I'm sorry if in the background you hear stuff banging around and potentially the TV. It's too hot to send the kids outside, and so they're just gonna sit in the living room and watch something, and I'm gonna try to do this real quick and hopefully not get interrupted. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so like normal, I'm gonna go ahead and start with her stats. So she is currently around 17 inches and 4.25 pounds. She is about the size of a cauliflower blossom, a ferret, and Forrest Gump's box of chocolates. So there you go. So she has been very active. She has not slowed down at all. She is definitely taking after her youngest older brother. So of my boys, Callum, actually of all of my kids, Callum was the most active. But I don't know, Evelyn's given him quite the run for his money. She has not slowed down one bit. She is just still an extremely active baby, and it could just be her positioning, because another thing is she has not moved up very much, which again, I've had zero heartburn. Well, no, that's not true. I did have a little bit of heartburn like 28 weeks because she had for some reason moved up a little higher, and then she moved right back down and it all went away, and I've had no heartburn since then. She is still pretty much staying in my pelvis. She is still head down from what I can tell based on like her hiccups and stuff and her movements, but she will kind of shift her position back and forth, where she'll have her bottom on this side with her feet over in here, and then she'll kind of move the other way and have her bottom on this side with her feet over in here. She just kind of moves back and forth, and in the process she'll get her feet up higher but then she'll always end up pulling them up super close. So I have a feeling that she's gonna be one of the babies that loves to be swaddled, because she has just always been in like her little fetal position the entire time. At around 31 weeks, I started getting on my exercise ball even more, and it really helped a lot with that pain that I was having in my pelvis. It really thought that I was going to have issues walking pretty soon with how bad it was getting. But between being on my ball, and I've been trying to get on the treadmill, walking about a mile every day, doing squats, things like that, and it really does feel like it's helping quite a bit. I don't have, I'll have some hip pain whenever I first wake up in the morning. As soon as I stretch it out, I feel fine, and I have felt fine in that area since I started doing those things. So it has been very, very, very helpful. Now here's the funny thing, is that I wrote down at 31 weeks that I was actually feeling pretty good emotionally, and that lasted for about a week. I have had a really hard time, and I mentioned this, I feel like I've mentioned this so many times now. I have really struggled with my anxiety, and it's gotten around right before 32 weeks, I saw an uptick in it, but I didn't want to say anything to my doctor yet because I knew I had a doctor's appointment yesterday. So Wednesday, today's Thursday when I'm filming this, y'all will see it on Friday. So for you 2 days ago, for me yesterday. I knew I was gonna have an appointment then, and so I just waited to talk to her, and it was at the point whenever it was like Monday, I'm like, I don't know if I can wait to talk to her because it just got so bad. And I was just a nervous wreck, and I was crying, and it wasn't crying because I was upset. I was crying because I was so tired. I was just so exhausted from feeling so mentally drained constantly. And so I went into my doctor's appointment yesterday, and I felt so bad because she was so sweet, and I almost started crying right there in front of her because I was so overwhelmed with it. She said, yeah, it's pretty common for women who have anxiety when they're pregnant to see an increase around this time in their pregnancy. And she basically said she was fully expecting to have to increase my medication at some point before the end, because she said that it's basically not working anymore because your hormones have risen at this point, and so it's put an increase on your anxiety. And so she said, yeah, I'm not surprised at all that you were complaining about that, and we'll go ahead and increase your medication. And so I started that today, and so I will stay on that until after the baby gets here, because I am at risk for postpartum depression because I've had it before. I'm sorry, I keep getting distracted because I see kids. So since I do have a history of postpartum anxiety and depression, we are going to keep me on that medication for a few months after she's born, and then I'm going to actively be trying to balance my hormones back out with supplements. And then once my hormones are pretty well balanced, I will start weaning off of the medication. But she has told me that it's completely safe to take while pregnant, and it's completely safe to take while breastfeeding. So, and I have been on this medication before. All of that to say, she said I should see a difference in about a week, and so I'm clinging to that. I'm clinging to that thought of that if I can just get through the next week, it'll be all fine. So I have been feeling pretty foggy mentally, and very irritable, but all of that I think is tied into that anxiety. So I am very hopeful that once the medication starts, the new dosage starts to kick in, that all of that fogginess and that irritability will start to go away as well. One thing I actually mentioned this in my, it was the video's titled "The Things That I've Loved This Pregnancy," but I've mentioned this one already. And one of the symptoms that I have had over the past several weeks, I have to try to mention it without mentioning it because there's small ears around, but a dryness in that area. I had gotten the Earth Mama nipple butter off of Amazon for breastfeeding, and I have started using that now because I was having a lot of dryness in that area, and which happens every pregnancy. It's a completely normal symptom. It has been very helpful. I just put it on once a day right after I get out of the shower, and I don't have any issues anymore. But so I'll put a link for that in the description box if you're pregnant and you're interested in it. So I am very thankful to have that because it was driving me absolutely bonkers. The only other thing that I think that I've really had is contractions. I did start experiencing contractions on Saturday. I did mention it to my doctor yesterday. She was a little concerned because at that point I wasn't even 33 weeks yet. But she said that because we were outside, and I live in Texas and it gets very, very hot and very, very humid, that I was probably just dehydrated, and because they stopped, as soon as I went and cooled off, that it was probably just some mild dehydration. So to try to make sure that if I'm going to be outside, prior to being outside, to make sure I'm drinking enough water, and drink extra water before I'm going to be outside. I did also have some cramping in my back yesterday and on Monday, and she was also concerned about that because she said since it did kind of wrap around that it could also be contractions. She did tell me to monitor those if they come back, and just the normal advice, if you have more than 4 or 5 in an hour for a few hours, then call. But I really think it was similar issues of just being slightly dehydrated and also just stress with my anxiety being so high. I think it was probably causing some of those contractions. So I am going to just start trying to take it easier and resting and just making sure to take my medication, which I have been, but hopefully it'll help get things back on track. I did start packing my hospital bag this week. It's not necessarily that I'm packing my hospital bag as much as I just got my bags out because I had a lot of stuff coming in, because I had a plan to buy stuff over the next several weeks, every paycheck, to kind of stock up. You know, whenever you're a single income family and you're having your 4th kid, things get pretty pricey over time. I had made a list of everything that we needed and divided it over 4 paychecks. And so I've been getting in a lot of stuff for postpartum and a lot of stuff for Evelyn for the hospital. And so as I'm going through everything, I'm just, instead of putting it up on a shelf or putting it in a drawer, I'm just putting everything in the bag. So that way it's already there and I don't have to try to hunt and find it. But I am probably going to go ahead and fully pack my hospital bag, I think next week. I'm going to continue to just put everything as I'm going through it, put everything in there, but I'm not going to intentionally sit down and say, okay, what else do I need until next week, so that way by 35 weeks, so if I start next week, then by 35 weeks I should be packed. Not that I think that she's going to come early. The earliest any of my kids have ever come was 38 weeks, but just as kind of a precautionary thing, if anything were to happen, you know, we have an emergency, you know, whatever, then I'm just, at least my stuff is ready to go and it's one less thing that's on my mind. And so I do plan on doing a what's in my hospital bag video. Probably, I'm going to do it at 35 weeks, but it'll probably go live when I'm almost 36 or so. So that'll be coming in a couple of weeks. So yeah, I think that's about it. I'm going to go ahead and insert the footage of my mom. Like I said, because she's sitting so low, I feel like it makes her stick out more. Mark is still commenting on how much it just reminds him of my pregnancy with Callum, because you know, she's just such in a tight little ball, and so it really does make it look like I am way further along, because she is just so compact in there. She's like all in one spot instead of spread out all over. It's a good and a bad thing, because sometimes it makes her movements a little bit more painful, but I'm really thankful that I don't have like heartburn, because that's awful. One last thing that I was thinking of. I did get my red raspberry leaf tea in, and I think I'm going to go ahead and start taking that at some point this week. I have actually never done the red raspberry leaf tea, so I'm curious if that will help. My labors are always, I've had 15 hours, 17 hours, and 25-hour labors. And so I'm kind of hoping that maybe if I'm drinking the red raspberry leaf tea, and I know how it tones your uterus, and then I do plan on starting to do the whole thing with the dates the last, I think, 4 weeks or so. I'm hoping that'll help things not take as long whenever I finally go into labor. Not that I'm trying to get her out sooner, I just, whenever she's ready to come, I would like for her to not take her time and to not be in labor for 17 hours again. So we'll see how that all goes. So anyway, if you like this video, please make sure to hit the like button. If you're new, I hope that you'll consider subscribing, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye.